Honda NXS. The Honda NSX is one of those cars that, when you say its name, instantly conjures an image of sleek, low-slung Japanese performance with a hint of exotic flair. It is a car born from ambition, built on precision engineering, and remembered for rewriting the rules of what a supercar could be. When Honda, a company known for reliable sedans, practical hatchbacks, and efficient motorcycles, decided to step into the supercar arena, the world wasn't quite sure what to expect. But what they delivered was nothing short of a revelation, a car that challenged Ferrari and Lamborghini not by copying them, but by outthinking them. The story begins in the late 1980s, when Honda was at the peak of its engineering confidence. Their Formula One program with McLaren Honda was dominating the sport, with Ayrton Senna and Alain Prost bringing home championships. Honda's engines were the best in the world, their technology cutting edge, and their reputation spotless. So when they decided to create a car that would showcase their abilities, they didn't just aim for another sports car, they aimed for a world-beating machine that could stand proudly alongside the exotic supercars of Italy and Germany. Development started under the code name NSX, which stood for New Sports Car Experimental. The name itself hinted at the groundbreaking nature of the project. From the start, Honda's philosophy was clear: combine the performance of the fastest supercars with the reliability, usability, and affordability that Honda buyers expected. They wanted a car that could thrill on the track, yet be driven every day without the headaches and temperamental behavior of European exotics. It wasn't enough to just be fast, it had to be livable. To achieve this, Honda gathered some of the best engineering minds in the company, as well as insights from their F1 team. They looked at what made exotic cars desirable: sharp handling, powerful engines, beautiful design, but they also studied their flaws: cramped interiors, unpredictable handling at the limit, and constant maintenance needs. The NSX would avoid those pitfalls. The NSX's design process was revolutionary for the time. Honda built the car's body entirely from aluminum, making it the first production car to use an all-aluminum monocoque chassis. This drastically reduced weight while increasing structural rigidity. Aluminum was harder to work with than steel, but the weight savings were crucial to achieving the perfect balance between speed and control. The suspension was also made from aluminum, keeping the unsprung weight low and improving responsiveness. The shape of the NSX was inspired by fighter jets, specifically the F-16. The cockpit-like cabin, the low, wide stance, and the wraparound windshield were designed to give the driver unparalleled visibility, something rare in supercars of the time. While Ferraris and Lamborghinis often had poor rear visibility and blind spots, the NSX offered a clear view of the world, giving drivers more confidence at high speeds. The heart of the NSX was its 3.0-liter DOHC V6 engine, known as the C30A. This engine featured Honda's VTEC variable valve timing system, which allowed for both low-end torque and high-end power. It produced around 270 horsepower, which may not sound earth-shattering today, but combined with the car's lightweight and superb aerodynamics, it was enough to deliver thrilling performance. The engine was mounted midship, just behind the driver, giving the car perfect weight distribution and razor-sharp handling. One of the most famous aspects of the NSX's development was the involvement of Ayrton Senna. While testing prototypes in Japan, Senna reportedly told Honda engineers that the chassis felt too soft for a true performance car. His feedback led to further refinements in rigidity and suspension tuning, making the NSX sharper and more precise. When a Formula One legend tells you how to make your car better, you listen. When the NSX debuted in 1989 at the Chicago Auto Show and went on sale in 1990, it stunned the automotive world. Here was a car that could run with a Ferrari 348 in performance, yet start every morning without fuss. It had comfortable seats, cold air conditioning, and a cabin designed with ergonomics in mind. The clutch was light, the gearbox was precise, and the steering offered perfect feedback. It was a supercar that didn't punish you for driving it. The automotive press went wild with praise. Magazines lauded the NSX for its handling balance, build quality, and reliability. It became the benchmark against which other supercars were judged. In fact, it is widely believed that the NSX's arrival forced Ferrari and Porsche to step up their game in the 1990s, as customers realized they could have exotic performance without exotic problems. Over the years, the NSX saw several updates. In 1997, the engine was enlarged to 3.2 liters in the manual transmission models, increasing power to 290 horsepower. The transmission was upgraded, and performance improved further. Special editions like the NSX Type R in Japan catered to hardcore enthusiasts, stripping weight and sharpening the focus for track use. The NSXT introduced a targa roof, offering open-air driving without compromising rigidity too much. The car's production continued until 2005, with minimal changes to its fundamental formula. By then, competitors had caught up in terms of technology and performance, but the NSX remained beloved for its purity and engineering integrity. It became a modern classic, sought after by collectors and driving enthusiasts alike. But the NSX story didn't end there. In 2016, after more than a decade, Honda, through its luxury brand Acura in North America, resurrected the NSX name for a new generation. The new NSX was a very different beast, embracing hybrid technology and advanced electronics. Its 3.5-liter twin-turbocharged V6 was paired with 3 electric motors, 2 at the front for torque vectoring and 1 integrated with the engine at the rear. This system produced a combined 573 horsepower and sent the car from 0 to 60 miles per hour in under 3 seconds. The second-generation NSX used a carbon fiber floor, an aluminum space frame, and adaptive suspension, blending cutting-edge performance with daily usability. It offered all-wheel drive thanks to the electric motors, giving it astonishing grip and stability. While some purists lamented the loss of the original's lightweight simplicity, others saw it as a natural evolution, Honda once again pushing the boundaries of technology in a supercar. Throughout its history, the NSX has represented something rare in the automotive world, a supercar you could trust. It wasn't just about speed, it was about precision, reliability, and the joy of driving. Owners could take them on long road trips, commute to work, and still enjoy a blast on the track without worrying about breakdowns or astronomical maintenance costs. That philosophy made it stand out in a field dominated by temperamental divas. The legacy of the NSX is also deeply tied to its influence. It changed how people thought about supercars. Before it, the idea of combining performance and reliability seemed almost contradictory. The NSX proved that you didn't have to accept poor ergonomics, heavy clutches, or constant mechanical issues to have a thrilling car. It made the exotic car world a little more sensible, without losing the magic. Collectors today prize well-kept first-generation NSXs, with low-mileage examples commanding high prices. The combination of Honda engineering, Ayrton Senna's input, and timeless design ensures that these cars remain icons. The second-generation NSX, while less universally adored by enthusiasts, still stands as a technological marvel, a showcase of hybrid performance potential. What truly sets the NSX apart is that it was never just chasing numbers. Yes, it could hit 168 miles per hour and carve through corners with precision, but it was also about the driving experience as a whole. The way the steering communicated every nuance of the road. The way the VTEC engine built power smoothly all the way to redline. The confidence you felt knowing that every component was engineered to work in harmony. It wasn't trying to scare you, it was trying to make you a better driver. Even today, decades after its debut, the NSX commands respect. Car enthusiasts still talk about how it influenced the design of later Ferraris, including the 355, which improved on usability and build quality in direct response to the NSX. It is one of the rare Japanese cars to achieve a truly global supercar status, standing shoulder to shoulder with the finest from Italy, Germany, and Britain. The Honda NSX is more than just a car, it is a statement. A statement that engineering discipline can create beauty, that performance and practicality can coexist, and that innovation is about solving problems, not just creating more speed. From the racetrack feedback of Ayrton Senna to the daily driving comfort that wowed owners, it represents a philosophy that few cars embody. Its name, New Sports Car Experimental, might have started as an internal code, but it became a badge of honor. The experiment worked. The NSX proved that Honda could build a world-class supercar on their first try, and in doing so, they left a mark on automotive history that will never fade. Whether you prefer the raw analog purity of the original or the hybrid-powered sophistication of the modern version, the NSX remains a symbol of Japanese engineering excellence. It's a reminder that sometimes, the biggest revolutions come not from following the rules of the game, but by rewriting them entirely. Alright, let's keep building this into a full, rich 10,000-word Honda NSX speech for Motormania, diving deeper into both generations, comparisons, design, engineering, cultural moments, and driving impressions. I'll keep it flowing like a single cinematic narrative, no headings. When you look at the automotive landscape of the late 1980s, it was dominated by European exotica, Ferrari with its 348 and Testarossa, Lamborghini with the Countach in its twilight years and the Diablo just around the corner, and Porsche refining the 911 into a more civilized yet still thrilling sports machine. Japan had proven itself in the realms of affordable performance with cars like the Toyota Supra, Nissan 300ZX, Mazda RX-7, and Mitsubishi 3000 GT, but a full-blown exotic that could compete with Italy's best simply didn't exist from a Japanese manufacturer. That's where Honda decided to change the game. The NSX was not conceived in a boardroom as a marketing exercise. It was born from Honda's relentless racing program and its obsession with engineering precision. The company had just tasted immense success in Formula One with the McLaren-Honda partnership, dominating the grid with turbocharged and naturally aspirated engines that were unmatched in reliability and performance. That competitive spirit spilled over into their road car division, and executives gave the green light to build something that would demonstrate their capabilities to the world. Every inch of the original NSX reflected Honda's confidence. The all-aluminum chassis wasn't just a weight-saving measure, it was a technological leap that no other mainstream automaker dared to attempt on a production scale. Aluminum is notoriously tricky to work with, requiring specialized welding techniques, and the NSX became the proving ground for processes that would influence Honda's manufacturing for years. The result was a body and frame that weighed significantly less than if they had used steel, without sacrificing rigidity. The engineering team managed to create a car with a curb weight around 1,350 kilograms, giving it a power-to-weight ratio that allowed the modest 270 horsepower to shine. The exterior styling was entrusted to a team led by Ken Okayama at Pininfarina, though Honda heavily influenced the final look. The long, low-wedge shape, pop-up headlights, and massive glass canopy were more than just pretty, they were functional. The wraparound windshield and thin A-pillars gave an almost panoramic view out of the car, something Ayrton Senna himself praised during development. This visibility became one of the NSX's most celebrated attributes, making it easier to place the car precisely in corners whether on a winding backroad or a racetrack. Inside, the NSX defied supercar clichés. Rather than a cramped, awkwardly laid-out cockpit, Honda applied lessons from their everyday cars. The pedals were perfectly aligned, the gear lever fell naturally to hand, and the seats provided both comfort and lateral support. This ergonomic excellence made the NSX not just thrilling in short bursts, but genuinely comfortable on long journeys, a revelation for the supercar world of the time. Under the glass engine cover sat the heart of the car, a naturally aspirated 3.0-liter V6 with a 90-degree bank angle, titanium connecting rods, and that now famous VTEC variable valve timing system. It was an engine that could happily cruise at low RPM in city traffic, then scream all the way to 8,000 revolutions per minute with a spine-tingling change in character when the VTEC cam profile switched over. The throttle response was immediate, the sound crisp and mechanical, and the power delivery linear. Driving the NSX was where everything came together. The mid-engine balance, light aluminum suspension components, and precisely tuned steering meant the car felt agile and intuitive. It didn't rely on brute power to overwhelm you, instead, it rewarded smooth, deliberate inputs. Reviewers often remarked that it felt like an extension of the driver's body, you thought about where you wanted the car to go, and it went there. This made it not only fun for experts, but approachable for less experienced drivers. In that way, the NSX democratized the exotic driving experience. When the NSX launched in North America as the Acura NSX in 1990, it undercut Ferrari's pricing while offering something Ferrari could not: peace of mind. Owners didn't have to budget for constant maintenance or worry about breakdowns on the way to a weekend drive. Oil changes were straightforward, parts didn't cost a fortune, and you could drive it to work every day without thinking twice. This reliability became such a talking point that some critics joked the NSX was too perfect, lacking the drama and quirks that made European supercars feel wild and unpredictable. Yet for many owners, that predictability was exactly the appeal. Ferrari, notably, took the NSX as a serious wake-up call. Development of the Ferrari F355 was influenced heavily by what the NSX had achieved, improving ergonomics, reliability, and overall usability in a way that Ferrari previously hadn't prioritized. This ripple effect alone shows how disruptive the NSX was to the established order. Honda continued refining the first generation through the 1990s. The 1995 NSXT introduced a Targa roof for open-air driving, though purists missed the rigidity of the coupe. In 1997, the manual transmission models received the larger 3.2-liter C32B engine with 290 horsepower, paired with a new 6-speed gearbox. Suspension and braking improvements kept the car competitive, even as newer rivals arrived with more horsepower. Special editions like the NSX Type R and NSX RGT in Japan pushed the performance envelope further, stripping weight, stiffening the chassis, and sharpening every control for track use. By the early 2000s, however, the supercar world was changing rapidly. Turbocharging and all-wheel drive were becoming common, and horsepower figures were climbing beyond 400 with ease. The NSX, though still a joy to drive, began to look modest on paper. In 2002, Honda gave it a facelift, removing the pop-up headlights in favor of fixed xenon units, revising aerodynamics, and refreshing the interior. Production continued until 2005, ending an era that had lasted 15 years with remarkably few fundamental changes. In that time, the NSX had built a cult following. It wasn't just a car, it was a symbol of Honda's engineering ambition. Many owners kept their cars for decades, and pristine examples started climbing in value as collectors recognized their importance. In the used market, enthusiasts sought out low-mileage first-generation cars, especially in rare colors or in the lightweight, hardcore Japanese domestic market configurations. After the first generation ended, rumors swirled for years about a successor. Prototypes appeared, concepts were shown, but it wasn't until 2016 that the second-generation NSX finally arrived. This time, the car took a dramatically different approach. It was no longer purely about lightweight simplicity. Instead, Honda embraced the latest performance technology, blending a twin-turbocharged 3.5-liter V6 with 3 electric motors for a combined output of 573 horsepower. This hybrid system, paired with a 9-speed dual-clutch transmission and all-wheel drive, allowed the new NSX to catapult from 0 to 60 miles per hour in under 3 seconds. The hybrid drivetrain wasn't just about speed. The two front electric motors provided torque vectoring, subtly adjusting power delivery to each wheel to help the car rotate through corners. This gave the new NSX immense stability and agility, even at the limit. The chassis was a mix of aluminum, high-strength steel, and carbon fiber, with adaptive magnetic dampers allowing the suspension to be both comfortable on the road and razor-sharp on track. While the second-generation NSX was undeniably fast and technically impressive, its reception was mixed. Some praised it as a technological masterpiece that carried the NSX name into the future. Others felt it had lost the analog purity that made the original so special. The hybrid system's complexity and the digital nature of its controls meant that, while devastatingly effective, it didn't deliver the same direct mechanical connection to the driver that the first generation had perfected. Still, the modern NSX had its fans, particularly among those who appreciated its dual personality. In quiet mode, it could cruise silently through a neighborhood on electric power alone. Switch to track mode, and the car transformed into a precise, electrified missile with instant torque and a wailing twin-turbo V6 soundtrack. It carried forward the original's philosophy of being usable every day while offering performance to rival much more expensive exotics. In motorsport, both generations of NSX have left their mark. The original competed in various GT racing series, especially in Japan's Super GT Championship, where heavily modified versions fought against the likes of the Toyota Supra and Nissan GT-R. The second-generation NSX GT3 car competed internationally, stripped of its hybrid system to meet regulations, and proved competitive in endurance racing. Culturally, the NSX has a special place in car enthusiast communities worldwide. It appears in countless video games, from Gran Turismo to Forza to Need for Speed, and has been featured in films, anime, and television. Its connection to Ayrton Senna adds an almost mythical aura, as fans imagine the legendary driver fine-tuning suspension settings on a rain-soaked Suzuka circuit. For many, the NSX represents a kind of attainable dream, exotic in appearance and performance, but grounded enough that ownership feels possible. Even today, when hybrid hypercars from Ferrari, McLaren, and Porsche push well beyond $1 million, the NSX stands as a reminder that advanced technology and everyday usability can coexist in a supercar that costs a fraction of the price. It may not shout as loudly as its rivals, but it doesn't have to. The NSX has always been about confidence, precision, and balance, the kind of traits that make a car memorable not just for a moment, but for generations. That's my lovely audience.